Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome back to Bariatrics and Beyond, the podcast where we talk about life before, during, and beyond bariatric surgery. So grab yourself a drink and a healthy snack and get comfy because today it's a solo dolo episode. That means I don't have a guest. It's just me, and I'm talking to you all about the fears of having surgery in Mexico and my experience having surgery 3 times, gastric sleeve and 4 times. Heck, gastric sleeve and 3 rounds of plastic. So pull up a seat, grab a snack because we are going to get into it. All right. So on the podcast today, we have myself, Kayla Levend, all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. And let me talk to you about surgery in Mexico. Now, there is such a stigma behind it. And you guys know that I run the social media for EOC. And let me tell you, when I say I've seen it all the comments, all the ignorant comments, all the crazy comments of the most popular one we get is they're gonna steal an organ. Now, not true, but kind of true. Not stealing though. You're paying for it to be removed. If you're having weight loss surgery, part of your stomach goes away. But obviously, we, have to debunk those myths all the time. Okay, so I'm gonna go through some common misconception or commonly asked questions about coming to surgery from Mexico. So you guys asked and I'm going to answer. The biggest one we get of all is, will I get kidnapped by the cartel? Now you guys listen. This may sound a little, take it how you take it. Just take it how you take it. We are not the demographic they're looking for, you guys. They ain't looking for us. They ain't looking for people coming in having weight loss surgery. They don't want us. They're not looking for people coming in having plastic surgery. They don't want us. If you're not doing anything wrong, if you're not trafficking drugs, I reckon you're going to be okay. I've been going to and from Mexico for the past 6 years. And now that I work for EOC, I go every maybe 6 weeks. And I have not once ever encountered anything of the such. I have not once ever felt unsafe. Which brings me to my next question. Is it safe to walk around? Now, the area where the Grand Hotel is located is a very safe area. Now, look, no matter where you go in the world, there's going to be good areas, bad areas, and you can't 100% guarantee that nothing's going to happen anywhere. That would just be ignorant. So always stay vigilant. It is safe to walk around that area. The block that the Grand Hotel is on is actually got quite a few restaurants. So across the street, there's a really good Argentinian steakhouse. Then there's, like Carl's Jr., but down some side streets, there's a good authentic taco place. There's an Italian place. There is right on the next block, there's a Starbucks for all the Americans. And then right behind, right next to the Starbucks is actually a Smart and Final, which is really handy mainly for if you're coming for plastic surgery, because you do stay a little bit longer. To go stock up on some groceries because in the hotel room you will get a mini fridge. So a lot of people will go and get stuff like, cold cuts and bread and yogurts and protein shakes and all that kind of stuff. So if you're coming in a day or so ahead of time, which you do for plastics, definitely you can walk over to Smart and Final and it is A-OK. A little further down the street, there is a Walmart pavilion and down there is obviously a Walmart and there's some little knick-knack shops, dress shops, accessory shops. I get a lot of stuff from there all the time. And there's, one of my favorite restaurants there is a Brazilian steakhouse. Now, I don't know about where you guys live in America, but where I live in Vegas, the steakhouses here are like $80-$90, right? I'm talking to our sound guy. He knows Texas Day Brazil, you're talking $90. Per person. In TJ, it's like 15 for lunch and 20 for dinner. And you could be there as long as you want. And they just bring out the meat, and the salad bar. So I love going to that. That's one of my go-to places. And a little bit further down the block in the opposite direction, there's a whole nother like outdoor shopping pavilion where there's a bunch of restaurants, really good restaurants too, very high-end restaurants. And we actually go there quite a bit with some of our plastic surgeons there. One of their favorite restaurants is there. So we go there a fair bit. And it's delicious. So, yeah, I mean, I think when people think Tijuana, they think like Tijuana back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s even. But Tijuana today is way more advanced than you think. Like it's amazing. But, yeah, so you definitely can walk by yourself. I walk by myself. I take Ubers a lot. Granted, we have our drivers that are going to take you everywhere you need to go. And when I'm there, they also take me everywhere I need to go. But I'm always the kind of person that's like, I don't want to be an inconvenience. I don't want people to have to wait for me, or I don't want to have to hold anyone up. So I'm just going to Uber. So I honestly, when I need to go to Dr. Ortiz, or if I need to go to the plastic surgery, wherever I need to go, I just take an Uber. And let me tell you guys, Uber is so cheap. Here, Ubers are, anywhere between like 15 and $25, depending where you're going one way. In Mexico, it might be like $4, $5, $3. So I Uber all the time. Now, if you are a companion, whether it be for weight loss surgery or plastic surgery, um, for food, you could also order Uber Eats. It's very easy. It's just same on the Uber app, very readable. Everything's super easy to order. So you can always do Uber Eats if, there's nothing around the area that you want. But there really is so much around the area. And even in the hotel, there's a food court. There's not, to be honest, there's not too many places in the food court. I want to say there's maybe 3 or 4 places. One's more like a cafe, and the other 2 are more like lunchtime places, but they don't stay open too late. I think by the afternoon, they're pretty much done with their food. Um, so that's that. There's also a room service, which I am a sucker for room service. I do order that a lot. I love their oatmeal. So if you guys are oatmeal fans, I love their oatmeal. They have a buffet breakfast brunch. So you could do that, or the restaurant that you can go to. So that's pretty much the food and the area where the Grand Hotel is located. Now here's another question that you guys ask is, can I drink the water? Now, no, you don't want to go drinking tap water from Mexico, but what you can do in the bathroom at the Grand Hotel, there is a filtered water pipe. So there's the regular sink for regular water, and then there's like a water pipe that goes like that, and it literally says filtered water on that. You can drink that. I've drank that. So yeah, you can drink that water. Just don't be drinking like your shower water or anything like that. But also you can order water from room service, or there's little convenience stores inside the hotel where you can get gigantic bottles of water for maybe like $1. Again, everything's really pretty inexpensive. Again, mini fridge in the room. So I just stock up on water. I always take a water bottle with me anyway. So pour one in there, keep one on hand in the fridge, and I'm good to go. So that's that with the water. The next biggest question we get about having surgery in Mexico is, do I need a passport? Now, this is a loaded question, and at times it has changed. Our policies has changed over the year, but currently the passport policy is this. If you are an American citizen, meaning you were born in America, you do not need a passport. All you need is a valid ID and a copy, or your birth certificate. And that'll get you in and out. So going into Mexico really isn't the issue, to be honest with you, because you're passing through Mexican border patrol, Mexican customs, and for the most part, it's just a drive through. You drive. There's really no stopping. Sometimes they might flag you down, and have a chat with the drivers, ask what you're there for, and send you on your way. So you don't really provide documents going into Mexico. It's going out of Mexico, crossing back over into the States. You're crossing into the States, so your border patrol, your customs officer is going to be an American, and they're going to be asking, why are you coming into America from Mexico? Where do you live? All that kind of stuff. So if you are born in America and you're an American citizen, they're not going to say, well, you can't come back to your own country where you live. You got to stay in Mexico. That's why you just need proof of ID. You need valid identification, birth certificate to show that you are a citizen. Now, if you are not from the USA, yes, you will need a valid passport. Or if you're like myself and you're a green card holder, you'll need your green card, which is just like anywhere in the world when you travel. So that's the answer to the passport question. The next question is it cash only? Because some people are like, I don't want to travel with that much cash. Well, you guys, we don't want you to travel with that much cash, and it is not cash only. There are many multiple different payment methods you can use, depending on your surgery, whether it be weight loss surgery or plastic surgery. Each one, to secure a date, you need a deposit. So for weight loss surgery right now, the deposit is only $100 to secure a date. And then your final payment is due, I believe it's 30 days prior to your surgery. Now with plastic surgery, because it's a bigger surgery and they're booked further out, your deposit is $750. That will hold your date. And plastic surgery is obviously more expensive. And then your final payment for plastic surgery is due 60 days prior to your surgery. Again, because if a cancellation happens, you can't just fill a plastic spot like that. So they do need that 60 days to be able to potentially fill a spot if you do cancel. Now, the way that payments can happen, multiple payments, I'm not a coordinator, so I might miss a couple, but off of the top of my head, from my knowledge, you can Zelle payments. So you can Zelle from your bank to our bank. Now, as you guys know, and if you don't know, we are a hybrid company. So the facility is in Mexico, the business is in America. So you're going to be dealing with American coordinators. You're going to be dealing with American banks. So I believe we bank with Bank of America. So you can Zelle from your bank to the EOC account on Bank of America. We give you all that info. You can use a credit card, and you can pay directly on our website with a credit card. I do believe there is a fee of 2.9% or something like that. Don't quote me on it. So just be mindful of that. Sometimes paying your deposit with a credit card is just super easy if you don't have Zelle or anything like that, and it's like a couple bucks. So that's not really a huge deal. But you can make all your payments in credit card. You can do a cashier's check. So what will happen then is you go for weight loss 30 days prior, you go to get your cashier's check. For plastics, 60 days prior, you go get your cashier's check. You send a photo of that check to your coordinator, who then uploads it to your file. And then you take that check with you to Mexico. Once you get to Mexico, they will take care of it from there. But you don't bring cash. You can do a wire transfer. Again, coordinators will send you all the info to do that. And let me think. That might be it. There could be another one. Again, I'm not a coordinator, so don't quote me on it. But I think I've pretty much covered the gist of how payment works. But no, you definitely don't bring cash. What you will bring cash for, if you're a weight loss patient, there's going to be like an endoscopy fee. You bring cash for that. And then we always recommend bringing extra cash because, again, if you're a weight loss patient, you may have a hiatal hernia that needs to be repaired or a gallbladder that needs to be removed. So you can either bring cash or a card for that. You can pay on credit card as well. But I recommend when I go to Mexico, I always bring, like, I usually probably cash out about $300 or so, and I'll break it down into like 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s. And that's for tipping because, you guys, Mexico is a tipping country. USA is a tipping country. Australia is not. So I've had to learn cultures, who do I tip, who don't I tip. But when you are going to another country, you abide by their culture. Like I had to do when I came to America, and I didn't know I had to tip waitresses. Like, what? Like, it was so foreign to me. But that's like in Mexico, a lot of people say, "Oh, you tip the nurses." Now, it's not mandatory, but in their in their culture, it is normal. You know what I mean? They're not the same as nurses in the States. So just be very mindful of that because I know some people think, oh, we shouldn't have to do that. But be mindful of every culture is different. And when you are going to another country, you want to respect their culture. And it doesn't have to be anything grand. And again, it's not mandatory, but if you feel that you've received good service, you tip them a couple bucks. It's really it's just courteous. I don't know. That's me. Again, for me, I always tip like the drivers when they take me to and from the airport. Like I tip them bigger than, and then if they just take me to and from the hospitals, maybe $5. If they go on the tour, $10. Just stuff like that. But again, this is me personally. This is what I do. Everybody is different. Again, not mandatory, but it is their culture. And everybody is so nice and so helpful. The cleaners, I always leave a few bucks on the bed when I leave because they clean my room. What else? Who else do I tip? I don't really tip like at the stores. If I'm buying something, you don't really tip there. But any kind of service, obviously restaurants and stuff like that, you tip. So it's always handy to have small bills. Doormen, when they come, because they'll bring your bags to your room and stuff like that. I tip them a few bucks per bag. So yeah, I recommend always bringing 1s, 5s, 10s, and I bring 20s as well. Just because sometimes I pay for things in cash. Do you need pesos? No, you don't need pesos. Everyone takes American dollars, so don't worry about, going to a foreign exchange place to exchange your money. You don't need to do that. I will tell you, in the Grand Hotel, there's also a casino. So if you want to go have a little play, they do have machines and they have tables as well. They pay out. If you win, they do pay out in pesos. So keep that in mind if you're lucky enough. But let me tell you, all the denominations are in pesos when you're winning we say pokies on the poker machines. If you're winning, it's like, looks like you're winning big time. First time I played, you ask our co-founder Michelle, who was with Michelle, Alyssa, I think Andrea. I was like, guys, I'm a winner. I thought I had $3,000 and it ended up being like $13. So just don't be me and get too excited. So that's that. And then last but not least, you guys want to know, do I need to speak Spanish? No, you don't need to speak Spanish. Like I said, I go every 6 weeks. I still don't know anything. I know gracias, de nada, vámonos. I just know like little words. You don't need to speak Spanish. All the EOC staff speak good English. Now, when you're in the hospital, that the nurses in the hospital aren't EOC staff, so some of them may not speak English. Um, but it's so easy nowadays. If anyone has a smartphone, all you got to do, I just literally, I hold my Siri button. I say, Siri, how do I say, where is the nearest taco stand? And then, oh my gosh, my Siri's picking it up. But Siri, if I say, how do I say that in Spanish? Siri will blurt it out in Spanish. So that's what I do when I need things. Or if I'm out shopping and all the prices might be in pesos, I'll call my Siri and I'll say, how much is 250 pesos in dollars? And she'll tell me. That's how I get around. But when it comes to EOC stuff, don't worry, you don't need to speak Spanish. And again, during the entire consultation process and like the preparation, you are paired with a coordinator from the USA. So they'll call you, they'll text you, they'll email you. Our coordinators live all over the US. So we have Vegas, obviously Nicole's a facelift coordinator. My sister, she lives in Vegas. We have Texas, we have South Carolina, we have a bunch of coordinators in Louisiana. They're like a whole group over in Louisiana. We have New York, we have Kansas, we have our traveler, Patrick, he travels all over in his RV. So I don't know where he is now, probably in Missoula. But so you're going to be paired with a US coordinator. So you don't have to worry about anything like that during the preparation. And I think that was all the questions you guys had about going to Mexico for surgery. So I hope that covered everything for you guys. And I'll tell you, when I went to Mexico for surgery, I did have a bit of lashback from friends and family saying, why are you going to Mexico? But I did my research. And you guys, no matter where you go in the world, it is so important that you do your research. The way I came across EOC was I was Googling best bariatric surgeon on the West Coast because I thought I didn't like anyone that I was going to in Vegas. So I thought I can travel to California or wherever. And Dr. Ortiz's name kept popping up. And I was like, who's this Ortiz guy? And then I found out it was in Mexico. And then I thought, okay. And then I was like, it's $5,000. I was gearing up to get a personal loan for like $35,000 to have the surgery. And the more research I did on Dr. Ortiz, the more I found out how much of an amazing surgeon and the pioneer he is. I didn't really know about medical tourism at the time. I didn't know about it at all. So it didn't add up. How could all of this be true, but yet it's so cheap? I was like, it's too good to be true. And usually, when they say it's too good to be true, it usually is. But not in this case. Like it is actually, it is what it is. And the reason going to Mexico for surgery is a lot cheaper, and we've had our co-founder Michelle on here talking about this, is there's no middleman. And I think in the US and Australia, Canada, wherever you're going for your surgery or wherever you're from, there's that middleman, and that's where all the money goes. That's where all the money is made. In Mexico, you're going, directly. So there is no middleman. It's just a lot cheaper. The resources are a lot less expensive. But that does not mean the care is any less or the surgery is dodgy or anything like that. I was so surprised of the care that I had. It's better care than anywhere I've had in the world. Australia, America. I went to Mexico and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And a lot of people think, oh, but the facilities are probably dirty or disgusting. Let me tell you, you could eat off the ground in these hospitals and in the hotel and stuff like that. It's just so clean. You never don't see someone cleaning in Mexico. And if you know, and you have your compression socks on and you kind of do in your laps or your slippers and they'll be spotless. Like that's how clean it is. And Dr. Ortiz is a pioneer in bariatric surgery. He is not only just a bariatric surgeon, he's a bariatric professor. So he teaches this surgery worldwide. I'm talking Oxford University. He teaches here in the US. He teaches India. He teaches in Peru. Everywhere he goes and he teaches this surgery. And he also has fellows, students that come to Tijuana to learn from him, which is really, really incredible. Not only that, we have Dr. Ramos, who is one of the world's best as well from Brazil. And he comes all the way from Brazil to do, I think, like a week every few months with EOC. So that's really spectacular as well. So you guys, if you are thinking about having weight loss surgery, especially with us or anywhere in Mexico, definitely do your research. And I guarantee you're going to love what you find out, especially about EOC, because we do have the best surgeons in the world. Now, let's move on to plastic surgery, because as we know, with weight loss surgery and massive weight loss comes a lot of excess skin. So EOC is an all-in-one company where patients do come back for rounds of plastics. Now, when I had my weight loss surgery, I thought, I'll probably lose maybe 100 pounds. I actually didn't even consider plastic surgery at all. And then when I lost my 200 pounds, I thought, oh gosh, like, I wonder if I could just get my arms done. So I thought, let me find out how much it's going to cost for my arms. And when I sent in for my consultation, the recommendations come back from Dr. Lazarus, and it was basically you need arms, you need boobs, you need back, you need butt, you need legs, I needed the works, you guys. And I was like, whoa, way to be humble. Like, I knew I needed it, but I was like, I didn't ever even thought that like I wanted that. I just wanted some freedom so I could, you know, wear stuff like this because I never had in my life. And so initially I thought, I'm just going to do my arms. And I did. I went for my first round doing my arms, and I wasn't even scared because I had already been through the process. You know, as you know, the drivers pick you up from San Diego Airport, drive you into Tijuana, and everyone was the same. You know, it was for me, it was 2018, 19, 20. It was like 2 years after my weight loss surgeries. Remy, same driver I had, picked me up the same time. And he was like, wow, Barbie, so good to see you, you know? So you feel like family. And I think because we have built that online community of, you know, patients, especially on the Facebook page. And now we have TikTok, we have the podcast, we have reunions. So it's grown so much since then. But I think because we do have that online community, we all feel like we know each other, right? And that's another really special thing about, you know, choosing to have surgery with EOC is that you do get to connect. So yeah, when I went back for my skin removal, I thought, well, my arms, I thought this is really nice. This is, you know, I feel like I'm back kind of like home, like where I belong, or you know, it felt so familiar. So I wasn't scared at all. And I chose Dr. Lazarus for my surgeon, my plastic surgeon, and I hadn't met him yet, obviously because I only done my weight loss, but I was like friendly with him on social media. So I was a Monday surgery. So I got into Mexico on a Sunday afternoon, and there's no pre-op appointments on a Sunday because they need a day off, right? And because it was arms, it was like super simple surgery for him. So I met him the morning of surgery where he did my markups. And it was so cool just to meet him day of. And I still wasn't nervous, and I met him. I'm like, wow, you're so much taller than I thought. He's like, wow, you're so much shorter than I thought, you know. But it was so cool. And so yeah, the same sort of process for plastic surgery. You go in and except with plastic surgery, you're only in the hospital for one night, but you recover at the hotel for I believe it's like 6 additional nights after that. And you get massages, you get the nurses that are going to come in and help you, you know, dress and teach you how to bandage yourself because plastic surgery is a huge recovery, you guys. Um, but that was my experience. And then I thought I was happy, you know, I did my arms, I lost the weight and that was great. And, you know, COVID happened, the world shut down. And then got so lucky that I got asked to do this. Like, hey, do you want to join our team? And I was like, absolutely. You know, and at that time, my career was on hold because of COVID. So I just kind of threw caution to the wind, joined the EOC team. And I didn't believe in my wildest dreams that I would go on to have additional rounds of plastic surgery. And so my next surgery was a year later, and I had the mummy makeover. So I did the breast lift. I did the belt 360 tummy tuck, which is that tummy tuck that goes all the way around. It takes away, you know, the excess skin on your tummy. It lifts your booty. And I also had a torsoplasty, so I had an extended breast lift, which goes all the way around. And then the torsoplasty joins and it goes around your back. And because I previously had an arm lift, which goes from elbow all the way up under your armpit down to here, it all kind of joins there. So, you know, I had everything done at that point, except my legs, which were still my biggest insecurity, where I carried a lot of my weight. So yeah, I did that. And at that point I started working for EOC, and it just felt even more so like a family. And since then, I've seen so many patients come through for weight loss surgery and then come through for plastic surgery and then an additional rounds. Like it's amazing how much you guys are like really choosing and trusting EOC for your full body transformation. And I love that the stigma about Mexico, yes, while there are still so many um, ignorant people out there, especially on social media, there are a lot more informed people now. And I think it's because of you guys, it's because of the work that we do behind the scenes and the community that we are building, that we are spreading the word that, hey, you're crazy if you don't come to Mexico for surgery. So fast forward after my mummy makeover, I actually dragged my feet for like 3-4 years, and I just got my legs done this year. And I want to say I'm almost fully recovered right now. Um, I went back and I did my thigh lift. And I do need an additional thigh lift because there's two types of thigh lifts. So the first one for me kind of lifted in, the next one I need to be lifted up. But guys, it's a process. And some people don't need all these rounds. I was unfortunate that I do because, I carried a lot of my weight in my legs. A lot of people just can get away with doing a mummy makeover and their arms are pretty okay, or their legs are very minimal. But for me, my arms and my legs were my biggest areas where I had the most affected skin. So it's going to take a few rounds for me to get my legs where they need to be, but it's okay. So yeah, I'm almost finished with my round of I'm almost fully recovered from my thigh lift recovery. And next week's guest is actually going to be the girl that's been helping me through my recovery, and my massage therapist. And next week, I want to talk to you guys all about it, especially if you are gearing up for plastic surgery, just how important the aftercare for plastic surgery is. And same with bariatric surgery. Like, the aftercare is also very important. And it's what you do after you have that surgery that's going to make you successful, a successful patient, successful weight loss. But after plastic surgery, the surgeons do their job. Now it's up to us to do all the right maintenance to avoid complications, or if a complication happens, what you need to do to resolve a complication. So next week, we're going to talk all about that. But I will be transparent with you guys. I did have a complication with my third round in surgery, and it wasn't anything to do with my legs, which was so surprising because I honestly thought if I'm going to get a complication, it's going to be my legs because they're my biggest issue. They're my heaviest insecurity. They're my biggest, a lot of skin had to get removed, and my legs healed perfectly. But I did a few more tweaks when I was there, and I relifted the back part of my belt because my butt was kind of sagging. So I relifted that, and I ended up accumulating so much fluid that just wasn't draining. And this is where next week's episode is going to be really important, you guys, to make sure you have the aftercare of a lymphatic massage therapist, not just a lymphatic massage therapist, but if you can find a therapist that specializes in post-op, your recovery is gonna be night and day. I'm telling you, this girl that I found out here, she helped me drain the fluid manually, and then I ended up having an opening, and she drained all my fluid out like manually. It was pretty gross. Honestly, it was pretty gross, you guys. And then I had to get a wound vac, which we'll talk about as well. Again, can happen. None of this was painful. It was just an inconvenience. And then I thought, I formed a seroma. So then I had to start getting it aspirated every other day, which is like the needle and sucking it out. So it's honestly, sometimes it's not fun. And sometimes you can do everything by the book because I am a stickler for the rules, you guys. And sometimes the body just wants to be an a-hole. Let's be honest. Like, sometimes our bodies just react differently, and mine did. And I don't know if it was because it was a secondary procedure, like, going over a surgery that I already had. It could have been, who knows? I'll never know. But all that matters is how I muscled through it and the support that I got, from Dr. Lazarus, from the team, and from my massage therapist, who has been an angel, who helped me and figure out what fajas I need to have, what compressions I need to have, why I need to have them. And that's also the other thing, you guys, with plastic surgery. It's one thing just to be like, you got to sit on your boppy, you got to use your triangle, you got to do this. But if you don't understand why, it's really easy to kind of slack off on those things because it is uncomfortable. And it's like, oh, I couldn't be bothered, or I don't want this faja on anymore. But when you understand why and how that's going to shape your body and how that's going to um, accelerate your healing, you will do it. So we're going to talk to her. Name's Rachel. We're going to talk to her next week all about that. So if you are interested in having plastic surgery and kind of knowing what the aftercare or what the post-op recovery stage looks like, follow us next week because we will be chatting all about that. I'm going to have her. I'm going to have my sister Nicole here because she was my companion through all 4 stages actually. And that's another thing that's really important is having a companion. I know a lot of people go to Mexico alone, and that's a-okay. I don't know how you do it because not that I'm a big baby with pain or stuff, but I needed help. And my sister Nicole has been an angel, such a help for me. Um, After bariatric surgery, I mean, you don't really need that much help. So coming alone for bariatrics is very doable. Coming alone for plastics is a little bit more challenging, and coming home solo if you live alone or if you have kids or whatever, I don't know how you guys do it, but we'll talk about that, and we'll get a companion's point of view as well next week because uh, just things about showering is super hard and it's so exhausting. I just remember my heart would race. I'd be like out of breath showering, and I'm like, "Who am I? I'm like the girl that can do an hour on the stairs and then go lift weights for another hour. Like, why am I out of breath showering?" But your body is just working overtime to repair and to heal. So, it's always really handy to make sure you have a companion and you have someone looking after you at least for the first few weeks after surgery. And then they also say about the third week post plastics, you start to feel a little bit more human and you think you can do a little bit more. And then that's when an opening may occur or a complication because you start doing a little bit more. So it's really important to really just take your time and do nothing. Honestly, do nothing. You need to just obviously you got to get up and walk to get the blood flowing, but other than that, walk, have a really good diet, and be getting your massages and make sure you're compressed. But again, we're going to talk all about that on next week's episode. So if you are thinking about it, join us next week right here, same time, same place, and we'll see you next week on Bariatrics and Beyond.